You will notice we prefer the vocabulary of aspiration over desire. It's not just vocabulary. Yeah? I have seen people call their desires as aspiration because now they've understood in integral yoga circles, aspiration is a positive word, desire is a negative word. So we really know how to play it nice, which is, aspire is the word to be used. So it's not just about the word to be used, but everything that you talked about, Hashdeep, that is absolutely true and right. Desire is actually nothing but a degenerated, distorted form of aspiration. Soul has an aspiration, which is why soul has come on earth, which is why we are evolving souls. No? What is the soul's aspiration? On earth, the earth has to be made in the image of the divine. So each one of us, soul has an aspiration to really radiate the inner divinity in life and make of life in the image of the divine. That aspiration is there. That is the reason why we've taken birth on earth. I know in the common, many people think and feel that the only reason why a human being comes and takes birth on earth is because you've done some or the other kind of pap. So you've been subjected to this realm of earth, which is full of struggle and suffering. And so you have to go through this realm. It is not like that. Earth is a beautiful, wonderful planet. It is rather, Mother says, Earth is the planet on which the divine has concentrated its force. And the divine is really attempting the manifestation of the divine on earth. And that, what is the divine? In very simple words, one doesn't have to get very metaphysical or philosophical about it. The divine, when it flows through the mind, is wisdom. The divine, when it flows through the heart, is love. When it flows through the body, is beauty. When it flows through the vitality, is a divine power. So all of us, if we ask you, would you like to be full of love? Would you like to be full of wisdom? Would you like to be full of a power and energy that is flowing in service? Would you like to be an expression of a divine sense of beauty? Most individuals will say, yes, I would like to be that, right? But the movement of aspiration is that of giving. The movement of desire is that of pulling. Desire pulls things towards itself. So, for instance, one can be like, I aspire for divine beauty, and I would really like to bring divine beauty in my thoughts and my feelings and my way of being in each and every part of myself as a service to the divine. Or one could be that I want to look good so that I can attract men. You understand? There is a personal reason which is feeding it. Now things can get even more complicated. Our desires can be hidden. So I can say I want to serve the divine, but behind it is I have an ambition of being a guru. That is what is pushing me, right? And actually, Mother says pure ego is better than convoluted work for the divine. Better that somebody says that I am working for the corporate, I am working for money. Then, you are saying I want to serve the divine, but behind it is, let me get name, fame, money, this, that, whatever. Right? That is what makes things complicated. And one thing then people do on the spiritual path is then they don't want to deal with money. Then how will anybody accuse them? That is also not to be done. That I don't want to work with power. I don't want to work with money. Unless, that is what we spoke about in the beginning of the session, unless seekers, sadhaks, they don't, conquer money, conquer power, then these instruments in particular will remain in the hands of rather, self-centered forces. Mother says even asuric forces for that matter, right? So one really has to be honest with oneself. One really, because it's so easy to deceive oneself. It's so easy to lie to the others. Why do I do what I do? And where inside of me is an action coming from? One of the things that my mentors always used to say is, more important than the action is why you're doing that action. What is making you do that action? Because it could be anxiety which is making you do an action, it could be fear that is making you do an action, but your mind, because now you're intellectually evolved, so your mind can give a nice story. No, no, I am doing it to serve family. Or no, no, my family is putting pressure on me, that is why I'm doing it. Somewhere, there is a desire inside of you. If that was not there, you would not be doing it. So first step is to be honest, that at least with oneself, one doesn't have to publicize one's impurities, but at least within oneself, when one is journaling to the divine, one is able to say that, I'm not really doing it out of pressure of my parents. I really want to do it. That's why I'm doing it. Because honestly, if inside of you, you really don't want to do something, nobody in the world can pressure you. So a lot of times we use an excuse to justify our desires and greed. And it is absolutely normal to have greed and desire. Let us also normalize it, because at the end of the day, the starting point of the spiritual journey is ego. Ego has desires. It has a desire I should be loved. It has a desire I should be acknowledged. It has a desire I want credit. It has a desire I want name and fame. It has these desires and there's nothing wrong with it. But slowly, as one discovers inside of oneself the light and the purity of aspiration, very naturally, oneself, one wishes to surrender desire. Oneself, one feels that it is not worth acting out of a desire for money. It is worth serving the soul's aspiration. And again, this is not something we can force it on others. The moment we learn this distinction, first people we apply it on, we see it in our friends, we see it in our spouses. Like, हाँ ये तो desire से काम कर रहा है, पर ये बोल रहा है कि मैं family के लिए कर रहा हूँ, but actually he's operating out of his own this. You will be able to see all these things as you grow on the path, because people, as they intellectually grow, they are fooling themselves. They're not just fooling you. They are fooling themselves. They are themselves not aware. So a lot of times, people will say, no, I'm doing things for you. We can be, the people, we fool ourselves, and it's okay, because starts with the ego, and not everybody is on the path of sadhana. So you have to get into action, and when you get into action, you have to embrace imperfection, because believe me, a whole lot of imperfection will not even show up inside of you if you don't get into action. Because in a cave, all of us are little angels. Okay? When I am also, in my meditation, also a little angel only. I'm sure each one of us is. It's only when you get into action, you get into life, right, that you see some of these little details come inside of you. And only then the progress happens, when they show up. And then you choose, no, I choose to progress, right? I don't choose this. So this is another perspective. Just because ego is there and desire is there, does that mean that I don't act out of my soul's aspiration? Because everything I do will be a mixture? No. Mixture is a part of the story. In fact, perfection is to bring a harmonization, an equilibrium. It is not a maximum. So if you're going to wait that until and unless things are perfect inside of me, that if I'm absolutely pure, only then I must act for the divine, there's not going to be any such day. So you have to get into action regardless. The only thing you have to be sure of is the core of my action is this. That is where, when I'm saying one has to be honest about one's desire, you have to just be honest with yourself. That's it. Doesn't mean you have to now feel, because that is another mistake a lot of people on the spiritual path they become, almost powerless and helpless, and they can't move into action because they're constantly seeing their impurities, and they become even more useless than normal people who are at least able to function normally, because they are not seeing their ignorance. Their ignorance is bliss. They are not seeing their impurities. Now, as you grow on the spiritual path, you will see your impurities, but your impurities don't make you impure. I hope you found the video to be useful. If you would like to continue your journey with us, if you would like to help us support you in your journey, click on the link below and join us for a 2.5-hour signature masterclass called the Awakening Karma Yogi Workshop, where we run you through the fundamental stages of awakening to become a Karma Yogi, to be peaceful inside and successful outside. We talk about Swabhava, our true nature, and Swadharma, our soul's purpose, which are the building blocks of a life affirming, not a life negating spirituality. So if you found this video to be useful, click on the link below and I shall see you at the workshop.